And Dr. Ahmed Muyeen Farooqui joins us live from Colombo for more. Well, Ahmed, for the first time ever, Sri Lanka's budget expenditure will exceed 6.5 trillion rupees, which is an increase of almost 12% when compared with the previous year, considering the country has just come out of a huge economic crisis. Can you tell us more on this?
Lipakshi, yes. Primarily speaking, we have to consider the larger picture here that ever since Sri Lanka went through the economic crisis last year, 1.5 years back, there have been difficulties which the island nation has faced. The last year's budget that we had seen had promised several of the non-populist measures to bump up the revenues. And although we are expecting to see an increase in the revenues, but still, we have to keep this in mind that the IMF, in their first review, that was held in September this year, had expressed, kind of dissatisfaction with regard to lesser than the expected revenues of the government. And that was the reason why there was a delay in finalizing the second tranche of the IMF's extended fund facility. However, it needs to be seen how the government would be planning out the revenues for the next year. Primarily speaking, the taxes have already been hiked last year. The amendment to the Revenue Act last year had bumped up the personal income tax to 36% at the highest slab, at the same time trying to widen the base. To begin with, the narrow tax base of Sri Lanka has had some difficulties with regard to the tax revenues. However, it needs to be seen how exactly it pans out when the budget is presented today.
Right. Also, Ahmed, considering that this is a pre-election budget, the president has said that the budget will be full of surprises. Also, there are a lot of public expectations which are going on right now. What is expected?
You see, pre-election is always a difficult kind of a period for the government to plan out, especially in the backdrop of an economic crisis. Immediately after the economic crisis, for any economy, it becomes really difficult to implement any sudden changes, drastic changes in the budget, because you see, the contraction of the economy continues to remain. Even by the Sri Lankan standards and expectations, this year the contraction is expected to remain for about up to 4% of the economy. But the measures are something which the government had been planning. They have been planning divestment of state-owned enterprises by which they expect to generate quite some revenues. At the same time, they have been hoping to get some budgetary support from foreign organizations and multilaterals. That way, they may be able to get some revenues that could, try to tide over the crisis for now. However, in the long run, it's what that needs to be seen how the government plans to widen the tax net and the tax base, and thereby bump up the revenues over the considerable future. To begin with, the budgetary deficits have remained in Sri Lanka for several years. In fact, for the entire decade over the last couple of years. And we have seen that there had been twin deficits, both capital as well as the revenue. So it's just how the plan and the policies would be presented and how they would be implemented is what needs to be seen, while keeping the social welfare schemes also taken care of to provide, social security net.
Right. Also, Ahmed, some relief measures, especially for the poor, there are also expected. Can you broaden that?
Yes, Lipakshi. As I said, the social security net is something which the government has been concentrating on. There had been a Samurdhi scheme earlier, which now will make way for the Asve Suma scheme. There had been a few concerns with regard to the kind of selection of the beneficiaries. However, the social security net will take care of, transitional poor, extremely poor, and the other beneficiaries also who are medically dependent, including kidney transplant cases also. So there will be some amount of support which will be provided to these families through a direct benefit transfer to the identified accounts. That is also something that we need to be carefully observant about with regard to how it will pan out in this budget and how it will benefit these people. That is something which Sri Lanka will definitely look at, as they have been doing since quite a few years. The Asve Suma will be planned out for the next 3 years as of now.
All right, Ahmed, thank you so much for that update on the Sri Lankan budget right now. Thank you.